Hello, my name is Heidi Mathers, and I'd like to thank you for attending the Pain Summit today. I am a member of the Parent Advisory Board here. My husband and I have 4 young adult children. I am also a high school social studies teacher, so I am coming to you from my classroom today. I first came into contact with the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital when my son was 16 years old. We were at a local park and he fell down face first in front of me. As I ran to his side, I saw that he was instantly turning blue. Of course, I screamed for help. I called 911, and his emergency response was fantastic. While the emergency response team was tending to him, I heard words like full cardiac arrest, Lucas device, intubation, defibrillation thrown around, and all of these things were new to me, and certainly they were unexpected. He arrived at Fairview ER Southdale Hospital, where the physician there very clearly communicated to me that my son had a heart problem. Of course, I didn't believe this at the time because, my son had always been fine. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, your son has a heart problem. His heart is failing him. We're going to transfer him to the CV ICU at the University of Minnesota. I have to say, thankfully, he had fantastic care here, and he is doing wonderfully. What I am here to do today is to talk about pain. Ben would, of course, experience a great deal of physical pain from the numerous defibrillations that he had, the CPR, a couple of surgeries, among other things. But really, what surprised me most about our journey was the psychological and emotional pain of the experience. Ben had 9 cardiac arrests on the first day, so of course he was intubated and he was unconscious. After 3 days, he was being weaned off of the ventilator and he began to experience consciousness again. It came time for extubation, and I was so excited. Like, this was going to be wonderful. We're going to have a chance to talk again and to let him ask questions. And, things are just getting so much better. This is really, really going to be great. However, it didn't turn out that way. First of all, the extubation process was very difficult for Ben. He ended up vomiting. He ended up crying. He tried to talk, but his throat hurt, and so that was difficult for him. Eventually, he would just put his head to his side, and he cried. And I knew at this point in time that it wasn't the physical pain that was affecting him, but the psychological pain, the questions, the wondering, am I going to live? That night Ben had 2 sudden cardiac arrests, or code blues, and as you know, these are rather dramatic experiences. After the first code blue, Ben would ask me to sing songs with him. We sang some hymns together, and he fell asleep. About 2 hours later, he had another code blue. This time, after he was resuscitated, he was extremely agitated. He was crying. He was asking me if I would just let him die. In fact, he said he was ready to die. He even wanted to die. Now, I knew at this point that it wasn't really the physical pain that was bothering Ben, but more of a psychological and existential and maybe emotional pain as well. I'm sure he was struggling at this point with trying to understand what his future would look like with this heart problem that he didn't know he had before. Once Ben left the hospital, these kinds of questions would continue. I had so much to be thankful for, and I knew it, yet Ben would still continue to struggle with a will to live. He would often say to me, why do I bother doing anything? Why do I bother learning new things in school? I might just die tonight anyways. This continued for several months, and to be honest, I wasn't sure how to handle it. I thought, well, maybe this is just temporary. Maybe this is a normal reaction psychologically to something like this. But in the end, I don't really feel like I did a very good job of caring for Ben's needs. As for my own needs, one would expect a mother to experience post-traumatic stress disorder after I was discharged after Ben was discharged from the hospital. Yet it took me several months to find a provider who could help me deal with the symptoms of that illness. Additionally, 2 of Ben's 3 older siblings experienced clinically significant psychological distress. 2 of them would need day treatment, and 1 of them even needed emergency mental health care. And I know that their psychological issues were directly related to their experiences in the ICU, watching their brother go through such a critical time in his life. So, in summary, I ask that we consider the psychological and emotional issues that arise in our adolescence. We were given a wonderful discharge instructions for wound care and the physical care of Ben's heart and his defibrillator, but we were really not prepared for the emotional ramifications of his illness. Over the years, I have worked with a number of students who have had a variety of life-altering or threatening conditions, including transplants and cystic fibrosis and cancer and other conditions. So I ask, how can we support our teens when they are faced with their own mortality at a time in life when they would normally feel invincible? What kinds of big, deep questions might they need help answering? How can we support their families and their parents, not only while in the hospital, but what kinds of resources can we provide to them or make them aware of for what comes after? And most importantly, how can we help these emerging young adults hang on to the will to live, while knowing that their health might indeed impact their ability to fulfill their dreams? How do we help them to be optimistic in the face of such obstacles? Once again, I'd like to thank you so much on behalf of the Parent Advisory Board for your participation today, and thank you so much for all the work that you do for us. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.